A leaky gut can definitely lead to more health issues that can affect you in the long term. And here to share more, we have Dr. Lela. And can you tell us, how can a gut, leak lead to autoimmune disease?
Thank you, first of all, for having me here. It's always a pleasure. So yeah, we were talking about leaky gut a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And so I wanted to dive deeper. And so what happens, I'm just going to rewind a little bit in case people have forgotten what is leaky gut.
Yes.
So leaky gut is literally holes in the lining of the gut. If you think of the lining of a gut as being like bricks and mortar, and if the mortar breaks down, then you just have holes in the lining. So then whatever goes in, partially digested food particles, bacteria, toxins can leak into circulation. And then that can trigger an immune response, all right? Because the immune system is not used to seeing chicken and rice in the blood.
Yes, of course.
So that's what causes an immune system reaction. And that's what causes an inflammation. Over time, that inflammation can turn into an autoimmune disease. Because think of it, if you keep eating the same foods over and over again, which most people do, we don't have much variety in our diet. So if you keep eating the same 5 things that you love and are easy to make, then those keep leaking. And every time the system gets sensitized. So initially it takes a big load for it to jazz up, right? And then over time it's so sensitized that even a little bit of it will get the immune system going. So over time it is so sensitized that it just fires up. So over time what happens is something called molecular mimicry. The molecules that you're taking in terms of food, they start mimicking your own body's DNA. And so they attach to different parts of the body. Today I want to talk about rheumatoid arthritis. So those particles attach to the joints. And the immune system, in attacking those particles, then also attacks your own joints. So because it's hard to tell the difference because of molecular mimicry. And so that destroys the joints in the hand primarily.
And I know we're talking about joint and that joint pain that is sometimes caused as a result. How can one tell the difference between this being maybe just soreness or it being something else and something bigger?
That's a great question. So any pain in the body is from inflammation.
Okay.
So if there's any pain, always think of inflammation because the chemicals the body releases during inflammation, they cause pain.
Wow.
So it could be just arthritis or osteoarthritis or psoriatic arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis. It doesn't matter. But the only way you would know, the only thing you could deduce from that is that you have some gut issue. So you have some leaky gut causing inflammation.
And once you're able to kind of determine, okay, this is more, what's the next step? How do you go about that?
Right, so great, right? So, okay, the first thing is identifying it. Okay, and most people ignore it.
Yes.
You know, it's like, oh, I'm a little pain, stiff, I'm aging, I worked out too much, I lifted. So we tend to ignore our symptoms. So, and then it goes on forever and ever until we go, okay, now this is too much, something's wrong, I'm gonna go see somebody. And so we go see somebody and they run some blood work or not, or maybe they start by giving you just ibuprofen or naproxen or prednisone. And you take that for a while and then it gets better and worse. And then you go on to a specialist and then they do more testing and then they put you on stronger medications, more directed towards rheumatoid arthritis like methotrexate or even some of the newer medications which work for the time being, but then you have to keep increasing the dose. So that's okay, you know, we do that and we've done that. But what is the cost of that?
Exactly.
Right? And I don't mean cost just in money, because we have insurance, who cares?
Yes, yes, no, of course.
But there is a cost to that in terms of what it does to your body.
And, you know, it's really important to sometimes really listen to your body and really sometimes analyze and see, is what I'm getting right now what I need? And I know later on we definitely do want to touch on those holistic ways to maybe heal your body and other things you can definitely do to help yourself if you're in that situation. So we'll definitely come back to that. All right, and we're back with Dr. Lela from the Functional Medicine MD. And Dr. Lela, we were talking about arthritis, the signs, and often right now the solutions that people are typically given.
Yes, and then we were talking about the cost of those solutions, right? And not just monetary cost, but what does it do to your body? So things like prednisone or ibuprofen or even methotrexate, they actually make the problem worse because they break down the lining of the gut, which is how it started. So if we keep doing that, we never get to a point of getting better, and which is why we keep increasing the dosages of the medications or adding in different medications, because what we were doing isn't working because the problem is getting worse, underlying problem. So what do we do?
No, exactly. What do we do in those situations? And I know you were talking about there are some holistic at-home remedies that people can kind of start with.
Yes. So first, like I said, the problem starts with leaky gut. Okay, so what they can do is take out what we call the big 8, which are the biggest things that trigger the immune system. So those are things like gluten, dairy, sugar, corn, soy, processed foods, things with lectins and nightshades. So people can start there and see if taking those things out of the diet help with the symptoms. People can also try what's called curcumin, which is part of turmeric, and Indians use it a lot in cooking. But you know, it's hard to absorb curcumin, but it works best if it's mixed with fat. So that's why Indians cook with it. So they have ghee, right, or butter that they cook with. But if you're not into that, you can use coconut milk, because the fat in the coconut milk will help the absorption of the turmeric. And then that is an anti-inflammatory. So instead of going to ibuprofen or naproxen, we can try that. And if it works, then you know that there was some problem with the gut because you took out those big 8, and then the symptoms or the stiffness got better. But unfortunately, what happens is over time, with people doing this, the symptoms do come back, and that's because it's not just those 8 things that we're eating that are leaking. So we actually do a test, and we look at a food sensitivity test where we look at 144 items. We look at ginger, garlic, vanilla,
all those things.
you know, all those things. So it could be any of those that are still leaking and triggering. So just taking out the big 8 is not going to solve the problem in the long run. Because again, it's not the food; it's the holes in the lining. I keep saying it. Like,
that is the root. That is the root.
Yeah, that is the root. So that's where we come in, is because we actually help people seal up that lining of the gut.
Got it. And when it comes to those treatments, I mean, kind of going deeper into really how you guys step in, can you go more into detail about that process?
Right. So if we were to see somebody like that, we would do a blood test, we would look at food sensitivities, and we help them, okay, take these things out, and then we use supplements, and we also use peptides, which are very specific to close up the holes in the lining, to put the mortar back, so then things stop leaking.
Got it. Well, that is a very impressive way to just kind of go in and you know, help people. Can you tell us, where can people find you?
Yes, so you can find us on the website at Functional Medicine MD. There's a button on there which allows people to schedule a free 15-minute consult with me, and I do those almost every day, twice a day. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions and help in any way I can.
Yes, definitely helping those people, especially if they're suffering in silence. And this is definitely something that they've been struggling for a while.
And that's why I do this, is because we want to help
people. Yes, and that is the goal at the end of the day. Dr. Lela, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you for having me here. Pleasure.
Yes, of course.